Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach.
And I'm Pepper.
And today we're giving our first impressions of Fall of the Mountain King. And if you can maybe tell, we actually still have the game set up the first time we played it.
Yes.
And we played just the two-player version of the game. It's I guess if you can, I don't know how well you can see it on the camera, but you can kind of maybe tell it's an area control game. And I would say a lot of area control games you maybe would think don't really play best at two players, maybe.
Yeah.
I think that's probably a thing. Usually area control, the more the merrier, I think, typically.
Yeah.
Kind of depending on the game. I'm sure there's some solid ones out there. So, we ended up playing this one at two. Kind of, I think it's more, a lot of the time I think we like to do that just to kind of get a learning game under our belt too. But, this one luckily plays from 2 to 5, I believe. Or 1 to 5. There's a solo, I guess, so maybe Pepper will try that out at some point. But, yeah, anyway, if you are new to the channel, you probably don't know. And even if you are someone that's watched a while, you probably don't maybe know as much, because I don't know that's one we mention all the time. But we are both pretty big fans of In the Hall of the Mountain King.
Yes, which now we usually just call that Mountain King.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, this also features the Mountain King. It changed the start of the name,
right,
but not the iconic Mountain King part. So now it's going to be tough to actually know what we are even talking about. We're probably going to refer to both of them as Mountain King from now on.
Mountain King 1 and Mountain King 2.
There we go.
We're waiting for Mountain King 3, maybe. But yeah, no, we really, at least I really like that. I think you do as well. We really like that. It has had a bunch of really unique things in it. Maybe not a bunch of them, but it had several unique things where there's kind of a cascading resource generation, and kind of you're maybe building some routes out in kind of on the board.
Yep, some polyomino and some pick up and deliver along those
pick up
tiles.
And deliver, yes, and yeah, it kind of just connects all of those things together and works really well in my opinion, and just kind of a unique feeling game, just because of the way it does all those kind of things that are kind of in other games, but I think it had a unique take almost on every single one of those types of aspects. So once I saw that they were kind of making another one in the series, I got very excited because, I just knew that, really loved the other one, and then I saw that they were doing another kind of unique take on kind of a tableau would you be building kind of
like just the resource
another way
production.
to generate resources as well. So I'm like, okay, I'm in for this one, because it had that, and then it, kind of instead of having that board for the route building and kind of building out and stuff, there's, in a way it's sort of a little bit of area control, because you're kind of controlling a piece of the map because you can't connect with each other's routes or with each other's tunnels, so it kind of is. But this one's obviously a little bit different, more of a, I wouldn't say war game, but more of a battling. You got some battles going on a little bit and fighting for control of areas.
Yep.
So my excitement level was extremely high for this one. I guess
just immediately upon announcement, Fall of the Mountain King, awesome looking cover, and my excitement shoots to a level 10, because like you said, I just really love that original game. But yeah, I'm like, okay, don't get too excited. There's no way this can meet or exceed that game. But still, I did allow myself to get quite excited about this, especially hearing of a unique type of, like you said, mechanism and resource production, and really interested in how they would tie that, because I thought the other three things in the original game really tied together nicely, and I was interested to see how they would tie that into the board play.
Oh, yep, I would agree, because I think kind of the fact that it was in that series, like I said, maybe got us a little more excited than really any part of it. That I don't know that we maybe looked into what the game was going to do as much, or whether or not that'd be right for us or a great thing for us. So I think that part did bring a little hesitation in for me after the excitedness of backing it kind of wore off for a few months, and kind of the campaign was over and stuff. It's kind of like, is this actually going to be as good? Or because they never said anything about it like being connected to the original game. Not like they said, "Oh, this has a similar thing." There was nothing in the game that was really similar, I would say. I mean, you can tell that it's the same world because they have the different trolls, and I think they had kind of some of that similar artwork in the original. So it's in the same world, but two very different games.
Yes. Yeah. So then we finally got it.
Yes.
Unboxed it. Brings the excitement level up quite a bit for the months and months of waiting.
That's
Years
true.
sometimes of waiting. Can just
This one was actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a very solid run campaign. And then once we broke open the box, all the components are amazing.
Yeah. Got some more great storage from Game Trays.
Oh,
just
right.
Like
You got the little.
We ended up getting an add-on for the original a ways back. Just 'cause we got retail version, but those Game Trays looked so awesome. It's like, okay, I'll pay $20 to $30 just to get those, and they were definitely worth it. To me.
Yeah, and then they're solid in this game as well. But yeah, all the other components are really great as well. That got me even more excited. And I don't know if I think this was probably a Kickstarter edition and special edition, so I don't know that all this stuff is going to be in the...
Yeah, there was a sheet somewhere that kind of broke down.
Showed the retail.
What was upgraded. And
so I think
like we have little minis here.
Little plastic minis, but probably meeples.
Wooden, I think. Yeah, wooden meeples. And some of the counters would just be cubes or discs as well instead of cool shapes.
But, definitely got me more excited. And then, we got to the table, and... I think it was even better than I could have actually imagined.
Oh my goodness!
Because once we started playing, I'm like, "Wow, this is really fun." It was because I was still worried at that point, but then you're going through the rules, and I'm like, okay, this sounds. There's a few things that are, I think, just take a couple plays to kind of understand and know kind of some of the movement on some of the areas on the map and stuff, and kind of. Just a few different things like that.
There's a few different ways that you and gnomes can get killed, and determining when certain things have these effects and when they don't. It can be a little tough to wrap the head around, especially in a first play.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. There's some of those rules in this game. But yeah, otherwise, I loved the way the tableau thing worked, and it's kind of a tableau plus a little bit of a pattern building, just because of you kind of fill in, so you can take an action, you can either take two weak actions or a strong action, and there's different symbols on your little 2x2. Well, it can become a 6x6. You have to stay within a 6x6, but then there's kind of 4 different symbols on there that you can use for actions. I think, and then if they're for a weak action, you just use like ones that are single ones by themselves, and you can sometimes alter those to make them a little bit stronger. But otherwise you can use a strong one, which you can either use. Some have a value of 2 on them, which are already base stronger than the ones. So you can either activate one of those by itself, or if you have a group of them together, you can kind of do all of those at once and make it an extremely strong action. And you can even, if you've used it's hard to describe without actually seeing it, I think, but if you have kind of used some of the spaces already, those kind of count towards adjacency, or it can counts as filled in, so then the next square next to it can kind of be adjacent to your group.
So if you have 2 matching symbols with a spot between them, if you use that spot between them and fill it up, those 2 symbols can then be connected to each other for that extra action. But when I was reading that, because it's been a while and I kind of forgotten, I do remember hearing something about this type of mechanism. Obviously, I got pretty excited when they announced it, but I'd kind of forgotten it over the months, and once I was going through the rule book, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. This mechanism sounds just as cool, if not more, than the kind of cascading resources from the original.
I think I might like this better.
Oh, nice, nice. So I was doing that, doing that, doing that. I'm like, oh, really cool. And it's like, and then you can connect through the ones that are already filled. And I'm like, oh my god, this just took it, and it's 10 times better now.
Right.
And it is just that good while playing the game as well. I mean, it's just so unique. I can't believe they pulled off another just so satisfying,
Right.
amazing way to kind of build your tableau.
Right.
I just want 10 more games in this series and just see what they can do with this kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited for another one. I don't know if I can't remember. Is this the same designer? You'll have to check for us if it's the same designer as the original one, or if they're a couple different ones. Could be a different one. But yeah, that's probably my favorite part. But I think everything that's going on the map is really interesting as well, because it's got, even though it's a battle, some of it feels Euro-y in a way, because of the way you're battling for the points. But maybe we don't really have too many area control games. So
you're never directly battling each other. You're just trying to outnumber in order to score points for different locations.
So yeah, I really love that, and I love so you can get some leaders. Is that what they're called? Or
Champions.
Champions throughout the game, which do some special powers. I had a couple really good ones, really cool really ones. Combos. And yeah, they come up with some really awesome kind of game-breaking things, which is just really cool. And they're all different, which makes it even better. Yeah. And then you can some of them kind of come with they don't come with the meeple, but they come with a little thing to put out an actual champion on the board. Some just kind of give you powers, just in general. So I like that. Those kind of different things you can get from those. And then you're kind of you're going for on the different tracks over there. You're going for what's it called? Votes or something, and
votes and 7
different areas of the board. Which is that's all of it comes together. I had a great time with the first play there.
Yes. Other than this, I feel like that was a little overwhelming on the board for me. Just trying to wrap your head around okay, I want to get points here, but then I also want to set myself up to get points at the end of the game for getting these great hauls. And I also want to get votes, so that means I'm going to have to go and take some spaces on the board, or conquer some spaces in a way, outnumber others there. And it's a little much, I'd say, for me. And it was a long play. It was a few hours, a learning play, obviously. But just kind of how the board is shaped and how everything connects, it was a little hard because you ended up getting a lot of people out there, and I'm like, which I mean, I think you did. You played really well, but I was near the end there. I was like, I don't know what I can even do here to like really take control of this board. So I just felt like I kind of settled for some points here and there. But yeah, I just felt like I could never really fully grasp kind of the board for me. But I don't know, I guess.
I mean, overall, I thought you. I mean, spoiler. I ended up winning.
You did win.
I thought you were actually closer than I would have thought you'd be, just because I won like almost every single one of those things, which is 4 more points than kind of the second place. So that was a good chunk of points.
So
and
I like 30 points away. 30 points different, which was a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Right, because that, and then like the first round, I think I definitely, I think you were kind of more focused on kind of where the gnomes might come out or something, and then I was kind of spread out, so I got 6 points. Yes. And then you didn't get as many of those.
Yeah, I forgot that.
So between those two things, that's why I'm like,
that is.
You ended up pretty close comparatively.
Yeah. I love that the scoring is the one way in the first 2 eras, and then a completely different way. It's not even like it includes that way in the final, which I don't think it should. just the way the third era does score. But yeah, so you kind of score for all the different areas that you control within a color. So 6 for your first one, 2 for each additional. So you kind of just want to spread out and preferably have one in each one, which you did a really good job at getting those out there. I completely wasn't even thinking about that, like you said. But I do like that because those are just huge chunks of points, and it's so satisfying when you get those, as well as huge chunk of points when you do get attacked by the gnomes, and just feels like good chunks of points throughout the entire game.
Yes,
which I really enjoy.
I would agree. I would say that it does play from 1 to 5. I don't know. I think it'd probably be best at 2 and 3 because I think it is a game where with this really unique board, which I find really satisfying. I think it adds a big layer of potential analysis paralysis because
for sure.
There's just so limited actions, but you want to do so much if you can. So that can lead to a little bit of that, which is going to make, I think, the games run a little bit long. I think I'll probably still try it at some point at a higher player count. There's 2 sides of the board for that, but I would be interested to see how a 3-player game would play to kind of fill in more of the board.
More of the map. I think that could be the sweet spot for this. Obviously not going too long. I mean, it's still going to be long, and this was a learning game, but I do think this one's probably still going to be a pretty long game. Just having to think out kind of all your turns and all the moving parts on the board. And
I'd agree.
But yeah, I would like to see a 3-player game to see how that feels for kind of competition on the board.
Yeah, I would 100% agree. But yeah, outside of that, like you said, some of the areas on the map, it's a little difficult to see or remember what things are adjacent to, because kind of along the edge there's some kind of thin pieces that go a lot and are actually connected to things. It's easy to forget that sometimes, because that does come into play on kind of moving some of your trolls around. But yeah, otherwise, like I said, I think just initial reaction score, I'd really like. If it wasn't late, I'd want to play this one again, like right away, and I'd probably put this one at like a 9.5 to 10 for me.
My gosh.
It's probably one of my favorite ones that I've played this year.
Oh my goodness.
And maybe it might have just been a really good experience. It could have been just because I did get a lot of really solid champion trolls. So maybe if I had less to work with, it could feel a little bit different.
That's true. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm probably coming in. I'm not probably coming. I am coming in a little lower. I have an 8.5 for this. I did really enjoy it, and I just did feel limited in my actions, where you were able to boost a lot more, but I was a lot more limited in what I could do. Kind of, I had one strip of movement here. I could thankfully refresh it and move some of those tokens and kind of trigger it multiple times, but I did still feel like I had maybe like just a few turns that I could really do, and then I just kind of run dry and had to do other things, where it felt like you just had a lot more leeway with all of your boosting, and like all of your cards just worked so perfectly together.
Do you think it had something to do with how you placed yours at all?
Place these?
Like, like maybe some of your initial ones. Because like mine, I luckily had almost all my symbols on kind of the outer edge of my would be my square, and yours are kind of sort of in the middle.
Yeah, they did.
Because that's the thing too. You have to at the end of every round, you're adding 3 more squares, and you have to cover up at least one piece with that new square that you place, and you cannot cover. There's like these special symbols. I don't remember what they're called, but elders signs or symbols, whatever. And you cannot cover those with. So kind of once you have that symbol somewhere, it kind of blocks you from adding the card right there, and potentially depending on how you lay out your things, you could kind of put yourself into a bit of a pickle, just based on how they're laid out there. But,
I felt like I was able to do kind of everything I wanted to do
Okay.
with the movement, and I kind of had a card that let me bolster, so I didn't really feel like I needed to connect those
Okay.
because I was able to do those when I did any strong action. My whites were connected for a while, and red I just never really focused on going up the red. So I don't feel like it's a huge issue. There were times, especially this one right here, like in the very center, it was kind of hard to work around that one. And as I look at yours, it's just like the entire center of it is just symbols, which would be awesome to have. But you also had to place them in a certain orientation. I think I was focusing more on symbols over and possibly extra barrels, supplies versus the limitations of those elders.
But yeah, like you said, I luckily had a couple of those champions that helped me take some more powerful actions, stronger actions. So I didn't necessarily need as many actions, but it's still you do need the action because at the end, if I wouldn't have had any barrels, I would have only had 4 actions. So even though I would have had all those chips, for some of the things at the end, you kind of want to move around and add people, and that then you're already using at least 2 of your actions just to do one movement and add people. If you have it well laid out, and luckily, there's some wild symbols, and I had 2 of those kind of in the center, which really helped me a lot.
For sure.
I will say that was pretty powerful to have those there. I think that was. Is there anything else in the game that you really liked or didn't like?
Just again, the production's phenomenal in this game, and our version, obviously, you got this fantastic first player token.
Yes,
giant hammer.
But I'm not sure what will all be in the retail. I think it's just a cardboard hammer, so it's not quite as cool. But if you have the chance to try this one, I definitely recommend it. And then maybe if you do try it and like it, maybe you can hunt out a Kickstarter copy because I think if you like this game, having this upgraded stuff, and I don't know, I'm sure because I think they kind of sold some of that upgraded stuff in the Hall of Monk. Like you said, they sold the insert and stuff kind of on their website. So I would guess you can probably
I think
buy some of this stuff to update your set. I would guess, but I'm not 100% confident on that. But otherwise, I think that was everything there. And if you want to see kind of all the components in the box, you can check out our unboxing video on this. But otherwise, we hope to see you on that video. And as always, don't forget to
keep on nibbling
on our content.